This week, we're recapping Gamescom Opening Night Live. This is the Good Game, Bad Game podcast.
This is a song I wrote about the Good Game, Bad Game podcast. Good Game, Bad Game podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Good Game, Bad Game podcast. I'm your host, Spencer, and with me is a man who, on a few occasions, has pressed any other button when asked to press start. It's my co-host, Mike. Mike, where do you get off?
I get off on you calling me the man and not a man.
What?
And you said with me is the man who,
Oh.
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, instead of a man like you usually say.
Oh.
That just made me feel special.
I have a man written here. But
yeah.
yeah.
Well, maybe I just misheard. I heard what I wanted to hear.
No, hang on. Listen, on more than one occasion, I have written something and then said the wrong thing still. So, and I think it's interchangeable. You are the man when it comes to being the co-host of this glorious podcast. So,
and hitting escape on EULAs.
Well, now hang on a second. Have you done that, Michael?
Plead the fifth.
Michael.
Plead the fifth. I will say this. I am a journalist for The Verge.
Man, as much as I want to get into it, I feel like we have too much to talk about with Gamescom.
Yeah. Do you want to give us the quick lowdown?
But real quick.
Or do you want to just skip it all together?
But real quick. I am so... you and I talked about it a little bit, so in case anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, The Verge got access to, effectively, air quotes, Valve's secret game. And let me see if I can find the specific Deadlock, Valve's secret new shooter. And basically, when you open the game, there's like a pop-up screen that's like, hey, you're playing this. It's not a full release. Like, we're asking that people don't share, anything about the game. And then there's a thing to click to get the message to go away that's like accept. And The Verge, the reporter who was doing it for The Verge, put a screenshot of it, and then underneath it wrote, "I just hit escape, so I technically didn't agree to these terms, and now here I am sharing all this information with you." That's like a really quick and dirty version of it. And it led to a lot of people getting mad at The Verge. Basically where I net out on all this is that did The Verge do anything wrong? Technically, no. Ethically wrong? Maybe. Basically Valve said be cool, and as far as I know, everybody else has been cool. But also, as a journalist, if you have a story, right, you want to be the person to cover it, right, before somebody else does. So it's they didn't technically go outside of the any sort of actual legal binding agreement to do that. But again, kind of an uncool move.
Yeah, if you're Valve, it should just be by playing this game you agree to these terms.
Yeah.
So that's kind of their fault.
Yeah.
I
mean, also think about what this does for future opportunities,
wasn't there already go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, by not playing by rules, informal or otherwise, that companies have restricted access for less, I'm sure. So now Valve can, any future projects, though few and far between, can just say, no, fuck yourself.
Yeah, I used to follow somebody on Twitter who was some younger guy who's trying to start like a video game news company, and he was kind of doing this whole thing. I forget what game was coming out at the time, but he was talking about how difficult it is to start like a gaming media company because it's impossible to get early access keys.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not like one of the big media companies.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can't imagine this is going to help that at all.
Yeah, no.
My other thought too is that there's so much like bad there's just so many bad feelings towards media right
Oh
now.
my God. Yes, this is exactly what I was going to say. Please.
So why would you, if you're The Verge, like, why would you exacerbate that? Because I feel like that's primarily what it's doing.
Yep.
For a game that, like, how many people actually care about?
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are probably fairly excited, because
Right.
Valve is making a game, but yeah, I don't know. Again, it was like one of those moves to like have the scoop, and like again from the journalist side of it, you get it, like you understand like the motive and why they did it, and again, technically nothing wrong, but yeah, you think about all the hate that is being levied at, and just like looking at inside the games journalism space, like if you want to put it under the like most microscope of microscopes, uh like why would you do something to just like let the hate pile on? Because I think they, like I think in some ways they do deserve a little, backlash for this. Because again, it's like one of those things where it's like everybody was like, "Be cool, be cool, be cool," and you were like, "Escape." You're like, technically, I didn't say I won't be cool, but I also didn't say I would be cool. And it's like, and by like throwing that in the face, it's just like you're being so tongue in cheek about it. Like you're just asking for people to hate you. Like not smart. Like also not your fault that there's just such a hatred for games journalists. But yeah, just why give fuel to that fire?
Yeah.
Crazy.
I would love to be in like the war room of The Verge, though. Just like have that journalist and like I don't know if Tom Warren was involved, but he certainly like
He was definitely adding fuel to
yeah
the fire himself.
yeah, and just like I would love to know the conversation, like them talking about it or not talking about it, and being like, hey, should we actually do this?
Yeah. I
I don't
mean,
know.
I did see a pretty good take where somebody was like, some of the people who were having like the most vocal opinion about how like, wow, what the Verge did, like shame on the Verge. Like some of the people who were having that messaging were like leakers, like people who constantly are like trying to be the fastest to like that scoop, and it's like, again, the whatever the journalist like bylaws are, right? Like thou shall try and release an article first, right? Like you get why they did it. And again, some of the people who are faux mad at the whole situation are just mad that they weren't the ones who, were running the story.
Yeah.
That's also kind of where I net out on it. But man, that was a wild and funny, what, one day on the internet.
Yeah, it was something.
And then we all just moved on. Most people probably have already forgotten that, what I already forget the name, and I just read it. Daggerfall. Deadlock.
Deadlock. I knew it was dead something, but other than that.
Also, I love that it's like a secret game, but like it's invite. Like so, if you had access, you would be able to invite me technically. And again, I would then open the game and be cool, and then that would be that. So it has like 20,000 players, and it's not a secret at all. You can see like the concurrent player count. Anyway, so it's a very interesting and just like whole weird thing. And again, people have already probably forgotten that. What's it even called?
Dying Light?
Dying Light. Oh, speaking of. Anyway.
Yeah. I was trying to set you up.
Before we jump into Gamescom, I mean, I can ask you about your weekend game, but I'm assuming
Back to back.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Got the number one prospect in the land this year.
Oh, let's go. LeBron?
And I put his ass on the bench.
Oh. You're redshirting him?
He needs to earn a spot. I got a hell of a free safety right now who's a sophomore.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. I have 3 people in the Heisman race this year.
Jesus Christ.
For what it's worth, we've been scammed for the past 3 years. I should have at least had one, and I had none.
Oh. Well, there you go.
This year it's Arch Manning who?
Nice. Good. Yep. Good. Put that Nepo baby in his place.
Mm-hmm.
So safe to assume that the game is still very enjoyable for you.
Oh yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
I do have a more serious question for you.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure you're ready.
Maybe.
Okay. Do you have a song update?
I wasn't ready.
Still working through the hot to go brain rot.
Yeah, honestly. The amount of songs that I've come up with in the past week to that tune.
Fair play.
I think each of my dogs, which today's Luca's Gotcha Day, so happy Gotcha Day, Luca.
Luca?
Day of recording, not day of release, but yeah. So he's gotten many versions of Hot to Go song to him. So we'll get there. It might be a winter project.
Okay. All right.
We'll get there. Maybe for year 5.
Well, okay. All right. We'll take it. Beggars, choosers, and such.
Well, unless you want GGBG Pod to go. You know.
I don't know enough about fair use, so I mean, would that be parody? Would that be?
It's parody.
Yeah. So
somebody made a song about hot dogs to that tune. Yeah. So like, and they're famous. Like,
yeah. Fair play. No, I think we have to have something original, and I want it to be from the heart, and I'll know if it's not. So.
Can I give you a semi-related life update that I'm just remembering?
Of course, always.
So Justine started listening to the podcast again.
I know.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh.
I saw a potentially very scary message for you in the YouTube comments that said I started listening and I made it to episode 200, and I don't remember what we said during episode 200, but I remember saying, "Oh boy, when Justine gets around to this."
Mm-hmm.
And that was only like 4 episodes ago, so that shows you where my brain's at.
And what's really funny, so this is just gonna get me in more trouble. She set an alarm for 7 a.m. on Saturday last weekend. And also scheduled a text to me about University of Charlotte's logo and how it was a pickaxe and not a plane, which I thought we deciphered, but I guess not.
Okay.
Because we were talking about how they have a team or something. I don't know. Something college football related.
Okay.
And she just texts it to me and says it's a pickaxe, not a plane. And I'm a couple of weeks out at this point, so I'm just so far moved. I'm like, Justine, I don't give a shit about the University of Charlotte. What is this about?
Take that, fucker.
Yeah. Yep. So she texted that to me at 7 a.m. on Saturday. And then, so Friday night, I wasn't feeling great. And before bed, she's like because we have Google Homes. I had to turn around, make sure that it didn't hear me. And that's what we use for like our alarm in the morning.
Mhm.
And she told the Google Home to cancel her 7 a.m. alarm. I didn't really think anything of it. We wake up the next morning, not at 7 a.m. And she's like, I listened to episode 200. I was like, okay. And she's like, I want you to know that had you not been sick last night, you would have been waking up with a 7 a.m. alarm this morning. Okay. Cool.
I love like thinking about it from the perspective of the Key and Peele sketch where
And I said,
oh no, I was thinking more of the sweating. So she like is like, I listened to episode 200 and you just start sweating. Like, okay. Just want you to know. And you start sweating a little harder. Uh-huh. Because like you can't remember what you've said.
No.
You can't be held accountable for things you said 4 weeks ago. That's hilarious. Yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh boy. That I don't remember what we said, but Godspeed, and then I saluted. I just saluted the air because I assumed somehow, some way, it was going to make its way to you.
Yeah.
So if you felt suddenly very respected, it's because I was saluting you.
At least mourned.
At least mourned. It's good stuff. That is good stuff.
Yeah, sure is. So, but now with all these games coming out, I might need to get up at 7 a.m. on Saturday, passive aggressively or not.
Yeah, there you go. All right, yeah, let's talk about them. Let's talk about Gamescom. So,
what'd you play this week?
Oh,
I'm just throwing segues out there. I'm not. You're not taking them when I'm throwing the line out there. So you're just gonna get them as you get them.
I played.
MLB, cool. Gamescom.
I actually played a lot. I played I you know doing hard work on the 100 platinum. So Shelby and I finished up Moving Out 2. Fantastic game. Would recommend. Did you guys play the first Moving Out?
No.
Okay, well you should.
I agree. I would like to.
You should play the first one. There's already a second one. So we played that. I don't know if you know the old PS1 game Jet Moto or Jet Moto 2. I don't really remember them.
No.
But
I remember Jet Set Radio.
Yeah, everybody says that when I say Jet Moto.
Is
But
that what you're talking about?
Nope, I'm talking about Jet Moto. I don't know if I could be any clearer about the two words that I'm saying, which are not the three words Jet Set Radio. But anyway, Jet Moto and Jet Moto 2 were on the like premium catalog and have trophies now, which is always a fun thing, playing PS1 games or PS2 games and getting trophies. And so played those. They're just like wave racer type games. And then I played a Paw Patrol game to get a platinum. So that's where I'm at in my life.
Not just for the enjoyment of playing Paw Patrol.
Definitely not for the enjoyment. Not terrible though. Again, not terrible. And also, I cleaned up a second playthrough of that Ice Age Scrat's Nutty Adventure game, which I was talking about last week. And while we were doing that, I needed to go back and find like a flying enemy to specifically throw something at to pop the final trophy. And Shelby
throw a nut at him.
Yeah, I had to throw a nut at him. I nutted him. And then so Shelby had to look up while I was trying to just hop around. Shelby was looking up to try and figure out like a concrete, like this level has a flying enemy, go there. And she found a thread on Reddit, which is always fantastic, on the r/trophies, where people will post to flex their platinums. Surprisingly, something that I don't do. And and somebody like popped it and was like, terrible game, stay away from it. And I was just like, terrible game, like it's not that bad. And she was like reading the like synopsis, and the person was like, I feel cheated even though I got this game for free. And I was just like, all right, this person can eat a whole bag, because what are you talking about? Like, one, it's not that bad. Two, you got it for free. So really just no room to bitch and moan about this. And three, just like don't play it, right? Like the game is very, very straightforward about what it is within the first 5 minutes. So please. So anyway, that was the fun of that.
Did you give him a thumbs down?
I did not, because I it wasn't. I think it was just the Reddit threads that show up when you Google something. So yeah. So that's always fun.
Always, 100% of the time.
But yeah, that's it. Now we can talk about Gamescom. I'm sorry I'm not picking up the lobs.
Well, you kind of did pick up the last one. I was just being a dick.
No.
You are what you eat, as they say.
Okay. All right. Gamescom. So obviously, as is always the case with these things, there's the pre-show, which has announcements and stuff, and I don't really understand why we do it, but sure. And then we had the 2-hour show, I think, is what it ultimately was. So probably 2.5 to just under 3 hours total of announcements and discussions and trailers.
Or if you're watching it on YouTube after the fact, it's 5 hours, because nobody knows how to cut out the fucking hour-and-a-half waiting room on YouTube.
Well, you can just skip forward.
It's the premise.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you.
Instant thumbs down if you do that shit.
Instant thumbs down.
I'll still watch it, but instant thumbs down.
Yeah, that is annoying. Normally, I feel like after it's like the VOD, I feel like that normally is like truncated down to like 10 minutes or something like that. Like they close the window, but I also noticed that. But yeah, overall, just like a quick overview. What were your overall thoughts before we kind of dive into like more specifics?
I think it was the game show of the year.
Yeah?
I don't know. I thought it was pretty good.
Okay.
I just feel like we got a lot of details that we've been missing, and then there were some other like surprises in there, honestly.
Yeah.
It's like they wanted a 10-year anniversary of 2014.
Okay.
So they released games that probably would have come out in 2014. Know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a solid show.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it kind of just continued, like for me personally, it continued, I think, what really like Summer Game Fest was this year, which is like a lot of games that like look good, very interesting, like some like we aren't just getting like the same genre over and over again, or like we're not just getting like a trillion different Souls like mirroring games. And yeah, I feel like there were a lot of just like evenly spread out, like if you are just somebody who enjoys games, blanket statement, there was probably something that fits into the mold of a game that you like shown at this show. It wasn't just solely dedicated to people who like first person shooters or people who like the horror genre, right? Yet there were things for those specific groups as well. So I walked away from it, I would say, again, similarly, where it's like there's only like I think there might only be 2 games that were shown that I am like, fuck yes. Like, yes, I want to play that game. I can't wait. but there were a ton of games that I was like, that looks pretty cool. Like that's like a I hope I can eventually get to it sort of game. But yeah, that's for me.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I mean, first of all, I just want to say that like I'm feeling a little more validated in not playing Starfield for the past year
Because now you're going to be able to get
because
around a little bit better.
yeah, because now you're going to be able to actually like go around and not have to fucking walk everywhere. So that's exciting, and now I'm trying to figure out if I need to just completely nuke my save and start again.
Yeah.
Which I don't know that I will, because I do have like 10 hours in that game, which is not nothing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I was excited to see that and some more updates on the DLC. And then I guess before we get into like some of the bigger announcements, I kind of want to like ask, is Netflix games kind of killing it?
Is Netflix games goated because they have Monument Valley?
Yeah. Like was that the final Infinity Stone? Are they going to be the masters of mobile gaming?
Maybe. I put a little note in here. I went Monument Valley 3. Shouts out to Mike. And then I put Mike now needs to make sure he has a Netflix account at all times so he can play Monument Valley.
I've noticed that, and Netflix, if you're listening, hi.
Hi.
The you can still download the games even if you are like password sharing, and it doesn't like have a whole lot of it. Doesn't really throw a fit about anything.
Yeah.
So
So are you
I've been
saying that
using it to.
you're password sharing?
No, I'm just saying in theory.
Because in theory you could hit the escape key,
Right.
motherfucker.
Technically, I'm not password sharing. I own the account.
Mm-hmm. So you are password sharing.
I'm not.
Sounds like you're sharing the password with somebody to use your account.
Nobody knows the password but me.
Have you plugged in the password on somebody else's device so that they can have access to your Netflix?
Not so they can have access, but so I can have access at their house.
Uh-huh. Did you sign out when you left?
I hope so.
You're going to jail, dirtbag.
Listen, everybody goes to Airbnbs and uses whoever's Netflix is signed into the smart TV.
Remember how I was unemployed there for a couple of months?
Yeah.
Remember how I told you I got a job?
No.
Oh, well, I lied. I'm just gonna assume you said yes there. Well, I lied, and I actually work. I actually work for Netflix.
Ah.
Yeah, no, the Monument Valley announcement. Now that bit is well overplayed, was pretty cool. Did you play both Monument Valleys or just the first one? I know you speak very highly of it in general.
I've played both of them.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. I'm excited. I'm really excited for you. I'm sure you were very excited to see that.
That was the one announcement, and there was a couple exciting announcements here, but that was the one announcement where I was like, hell yeah, like one of the bigger gaming announcements of the year for me.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely like unexpected, right? Like, did you know that they were working on another Monument Valley?
I didn't, and frankly, like I've looked because I'm like, it's the perfect mobile game.
Yeah.
And I beat Monument Valley 2, I think in like 2017 or something like that.
I was
It's
gonna
the only
say.
game I'll play on an airplane.
Okay.
So,
It's a good
yeah.
rec. It's a good rec
Yeah.
right there.
That and Galgun, but only if I get the aisle seat.
I'm excited because I don't think I've played any of them. So
Well, you should.
seeing that all three are going to be coming to Netflix, you know, I'll have to mysteriously leave my phone out so somebody can sign into Netflix for me, and then
Somebody can use your phone to play
play.
their
Yeah,
Netflix games.
yeah, exactly.
All about ubiquity.
Yeah. um. All right, let's get into the actual announcements.
Watch your mouth.
Okay. um. I will say, I feel like just to go off of the fact that I was saying that it didn't seem like there was like any one genre that dominated. I kind of want to take that back because there were a lot of interesting, I'll say creepy vibe games, like to kind of like cast a wider net. Um, there was in the pre-show alone. Let me just quickly get back to the list. There was that kind of like psychological, maybe thriller type game you could call it. We Harvest Shadows. That just like the vibes were definitely very creepy. And then I don't know if it's AILA or because it's all like dots or if it's Isla or what, but that also had some like real creepy vibes. And then in the actual, and then there's another Dark Pictures game. So
Yep, I did see that one.
that's gonna be, spoopy if you will. But even like including like Lost Records, Bloom and Rage, the next game from Don't Nod. Like even that had like some eerie, like we'll call it creepy vibes to it. And then you had Reanimal, which is from the creators of Little Nightmares 1 and 2. But that's also funny because then Little Nightmares 3 had a little showing at the show. So that was funny and confusing. But yeah, so there were like a lot of those types of games. I wouldn't call them all just like straight up like horror games. But you know what I mean? Like they definitely fit that like dark and kind of like have you a little bit on edge vibes. And I thought that was really interesting to see. A little different from the like space horror that we were getting like 2 or 3 years ago when it was like the year of the Callisto Protocol and then the Dead Space
Everybody was
remake
making
and
Dead Space.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I thought that was interesting to see, and they all seem to be like a little bit like smaller in scale. But yeah, some of those. I mean, Reanimal looks gross
Mm-hmm.
and cool. And then
Yeah,
go ahead.
I've really enjoyed the Little Nightmares games, so I'm interested to see more about this one.
And it looks like it might be like co-op, right?
It says local and online co-op, which I think is how Little Nightmares was.
I don't think did the first Little Nightmares have co-op. I don't think it did.
I don't remember.
But I know the third one is setting up to have co-op, and I can't remember if the second one did.
The second one definitely did. I just
Okay.
can't remember if the first one, because I tried to get Justine to play with me because they were on Stadia.
I started playing the first one like tail end of last year, and then I put it down and didn't get back to it yet. But
Yeah, it's hard.
I'm pretty sure it's just
one of those
single.
games. Yeah, it's one of those games where like it's a lot of fun and like it's kind of cool and unique and creepy, but also it doesn't like I don't know. It sounds like maybe this applied to you and it did to me. Like it just didn't like suck me in a ton.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know how to explain it. Like I enjoyed it. It just doesn't. There's nothing that brings me back to it really.
Right. I think my problem is that like I'm assuming, which you know what they say, but I'm assuming it's a small enough game that you can beat it in like 2 days. And
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think that's kind of what you need to do because like you're saying like you put it down and it's like I mean I'm not itching to get back to Little Nightmares. No like no offense meant, but like you know what I mean. Like I'm not just like oh man I gotta get back to that game. It's life changing. But I did like what I was playing. Then I started doing a stupid challenge, so I have not been able to play any games that are actually a part of my backlog, or very few. So, but nonetheless, it looks both games look good. Reanimal and Little Nightmares 3.
Yeah.
What else? What were some of the big announcements for you?
Well, I will touch on this first since you said something, but at Summer Games Fest when they kind of announced Lost Records Bloom and Rage,
Mm-hmm.
I was super excited about that. So I was happy to see some gameplay from it. So that one I'm really excited about. And I'm kind of happy to see it's launching early next year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really understand what they're. It says February 18 and March 18, 2025. Did they like announce a 30-day exclusivity thing?
No, I
Oh no, it'll
think
launch in
they're
2 parts.
yeah, I think they're doing I don't know how I don't know if it's like just those two parts, but you remember Life is Strange was episodic and like 4 months would go
Yeah.
by
So
and then you'd get the next part and stuff like that. So I don't know if they're doing a full on thing like that or if it's just like first half, second half.
which I kind of love that, to be honest with you.
I I do, but honestly, I like it takes me so long to get around to stuff that by the time I do, honestly, just like have it all be out because if I move on, I'm worried I won't come back to it. Like most DLCs for big games that I enjoy. Here's looking at you, Horizon.
Yeah, but I feel like it's released in a way that like has you look forward to it.
Sure, I would agree with that.
I don't know. I really the only game that I played like that was True Colors, and like I was just always so excited for the new episodes to come out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, um, really excited about that. Um, and then I was honestly shocked to see that we got a release date for Indiana Jones.
Yes.
I did not know that that was going to come during this, but
I
and then they also announced that PS5's getting it.
did you see the thing that was like I was sitting next to Phil Spencer when they showed the Indiana Jones trailer and this is what he looked like and then it's the video of Homelander just like staring at the screen like blank faced. um so okay, yeah, there's two things to unpack here. First, that's a really weird time. That's a really weird release date, December 9th, because I feel like it's going to get like zero award recognition. Which from the looks of it, I feel like it would like I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh man, that's a GOTY contender right there. Could be, maybe, but certainly I think it would be a healthy nominee for its specific genre. Um, and I feel like December 9th is going to miss that window and then also not come around for the next year. So like it's just going to completely miss out on like any sort of I'll say like grand public recognition. I still think the game is obviously going to do well because like it's working with a good IP and everything like that, but yeah, I felt like the release window was an interesting choice. And then yeah, we get the announcement that it is going to be coming to PS5, which has a lot of people up in arms.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a Bethesda game, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think I've said from the start that, uh, I am not going to be shocked to see Bethesda games continuing to come to PlayStation. Other
Yeah.
than like, a handful of like Starfield essentially, but I still think Starfield will come to PS5 eventually.
The more we enter this realm of Xbox games making their way over to PlayStation, I am inclined to agree. I think Forza has been like the newest rumbling that might be making the jump at some point.
Yeah.
I don't think that has been officially said though. I personally, I really wish at this point, like maybe some sort of gentleman's agreement could have happened between PlayStation and Xbox in terms of, trying to get some, like when we talked about this months ago at this point, there are certain games that like I just don't feel passionately need to be. I think both, companies should try and keep, because it is a way to try and, sell your console, sell your box. But, more and more it seems like Xbox is moving, towards a path of just play anywhere, play on anything, just play. So this is definitely fitting that. But I would love to see some sort of commitment, from PlayStation to also take some of these games that, again, I just don't feel like need to be like Horizon. I don't really feel that passionately that like Horizon is this like PlayStation staple in the grand scheme of like the other IPs and franchises they have. That like I would love if more people had the opportunity to play Horizon, and they do. They're doing a good job at least releasing stuff on PC, but that's kind of where I net out. Well, yeah, the Horizon Lego game is coming to Switch. Yeah, it's a good call. Yeah. But the biggest thing that bothers me about the announcement that it's coming to PS5 is that people are getting up in arms and mad at Phil Spencer because he said that Indiana Jones and Starfield aren't going to PlayStation. Except he said that during that press conference where he said 4 games are going to be that are Xbox exclusives are going to be ported to the PS5. And he said that Indiana Jones and Starfield weren't one of those 4.
Right.
He didn't say these games are never going to jump. So like people who are like really honing in on that are missing the overall context of what Phil Spencer was talking about at the time when he said not Indiana Jones and it's not Starfield in terms of like games that are going to be making that jump at the time.
Well, I would hope it wouldn't be Indiana Jones. It's not even out yet.
Yeah, and I think he was just saying that like we're also not announcing it as a part of these 4 games and saying that like Indiana Jones when it releases is going to be going. You know what I mean? Like I think that's I mean, was that also before Starfield came out, or was that now after? I can't remember.
I think it was just this past February or something, right? Okay. So I think it was after.
So anyway, like, I'm with you. At this point, the further we get away, like, I could see the 2-year anniversary of Starfield, the like some sort of ultimate bundle for $70 that gives you the game and access to the DLCs releasing on PlayStation, and that wouldn't surprise me at all. Or Starfield Complete Edition, or something like that, and it wouldn't be surprising at this point. There anymore. There's only going to be a few games that are genuinely going to be, I think, like very shocking. I think they have a good library though, and this isn't really the purpose of the overall episode. I think they have a good library and like good opportunity to do like timed exclusives and stuff like that to really keep drawing attention to the overall Xbox brand.
Yeah, I think the one thing, and I think I've said this before, is I don't really give a shit what Xbox games go to PlayStation. Like, will it feel wrong if Halo or Gears go to PlayStation? Yeah, kinda. But like, again, I just, it doesn't affect me. But I will say, like, if Xbox brings like the current version of Game Pass to PlayStation, like in the same capacity, which I doubt will happen, but you never know. I would never buy an Xbox again. It's like, why would you? Because in my opinion, like PlayStation still has the better first party games, at least the ones that resonate with me more.
Sure.
So I would just buy PlayStation and play the Xbox games on that.
Yeah.
So I think as long as Xbox doesn't do that, that Xbox fans don't really need to be that worried.
Right. I also think at the end of the day, like, if you're getting up in arms about, the decisions of a mega corporation,
Yeah, they are not your friends, and
at the end of the day, they're doing what they feel is best for the business, and that's how it goes. Indiana Jones was one of the, like, I lied when I said 2. That was like one of the 3 things. Once I saw that, like, it's coming to PlayStation 5 in spring, I was like, nice, let's go. I'm real excited for that game. And I love that we got to see, like, just more of the, like, the game, with a great voiceover from Troy Baker, where we got to hear about him living out his sick fantasy of pretending to be Harrison Ford. So
yeah, there you
that
go.
was fun. What else? What else was what else really stood out for you?
I hate to say it, but the more gameplay that I see for Black Ops 6, I'm actually getting like a little excited for it.
I I I put a note and I said, I know I'm in the minority and I'm constantly saying it, but watching the COD presentation, I was just like, oh my God, who the hell cares? And then they showed a homing knife and I went, this rips. This is fucking cool.
I am literally going to do online and only use that. That and a riot shield.
Oh my God.
Control.
Yeah. I mean, it like, they were showing, what was that game mode? Protect the asset, grab ass, something like that. But
Yeah, I think it was called Grab Ass.
and I think we said this when they were first showing stuff, about like the campaign and things like that, where it's like, this actually, like, does look like solid and, like, semi reminiscent of, maybe like old COD, when they put a little more attention to detail in, like, the campaign and that sort of stuff. Because yeah, I found myself, it went on a little too long, but I found myself saying, like, this actually looks pretty cool. And then I think about the fact that, like, the main aspect of Call of Duty is the online, and I'm immediately just turned off again.
Yeah, I think the nice thing about it coming to Game Pass is because, like, to be honest with you, I've kind of wanted to get back into like a Call of Duty campaign the past couple of years, but I'm not going to buy the game,
Right.
because I'm not going to get into online. So I think it's kind of nice that it's coming to Game Pass, and it's going to be 250 gigabytes, and I'll have to delete everything, play the campaign, delete that, and reinstall everything again. But yeah, I don't know. I'll give it a go.
Yeah, it is a nice part of it being on Game Pass. Yeah, I just felt like that went on for forever, that segment.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, like, they kept, like, fast forwarding through, like, the mission or whatever, and I was just like, Jesus Christ, we get it. Go fast, blow up. New Dying Light.
Yeah. How about that?
Pretty excited. I still haven't played the second one, but Dying Light, the first one, was like one of the best experiences I had playing a game. Like, uh, it's like right up there with Ghost Recon Wildlands. Is that the one we played?
Hell yeah, brother.
Right, like, we played the whole thing together, start to finish. Well, did the same thing with Dying Light. Our friend Brock played that start to finish, with him, and it's just like having an experience like that with a game. I think, like, really helps a game, like, in terms of, like, just giving it, like, bonus points basically, and helping it to, like, helping to keep, like, the memory of, like, the overall game. Whereas if I played it just solo the entire way through, like, it probably wouldn't have had as much of an impact on, like, um on me. But yeah. So the first game was fantastic. I heard good things about the second one, but again, just have not gotten around to it yet. But I'm excited to see that they're going to keep going with it. I mean, it's fun. You're free running and drop kicking zombies. How could it
Yeah.
not be?
It's almost as fun as in Dead Island, where I would just lure all the zombies into the pool and kick them in the knees.
I gotta play the new Dead Island too. God damn.
I forgot about that,
Yeah.
honestly.
Oh man. Let's see what else. I mean, again, there's a lot of like stuff that looked like cool.
Yeah.
I mean, the Dune like MMO, like it looks cool, and like everything they're like talking about with like just like the grind slop that an MMO is, I was like, oh man, I can kind of get behind that. And then it just like kept going. I was like, oh my god, this feels like too much now. It's already too daunting for me. I don't know how I could like budget out the time to be able to like keep up with a game like this. So I'm like very back and forth on that. But it seems really sick, and I'm really excited to like see more of that and see, what the actual perception is and reception is once it's out.
I think I've really only got one more game that I'm kind of super excited for. I I need to go back and words. Rewatch the Directive 8020 trailer. Um I don't know. I really like those kind of like branching
Mm-hmm.
storylines. And obviously like Supermassive does a really good job with it. I just haven't played one of their games in forever.
Uh-huh.
Um so we'll see. I want to look in that. And then I'm honestly kind of excited for the new Mafia game.
Yeah, that's the last one where it's like something that I'm actually excited for. Like I'm actually really hyped for a new Mafia game. I mean, I just played within the past easily 4 years. I played through all three of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're good. They're just good games, I played 1 and 2 via the like remake. Were they remakes?
I think they were full remakes.
Um and like they hold up, for games that came out in the PS3 era.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mafia 3 is just like it's just like good like revenge like type story narrative.
Yeah, that game is brutal.
Yeah, but it rips start to finish.
I
Yeah.
I'm like more than halfway through that game, but I haven't played it in many years. And I'm so all three of the Mafia games just came to Game Pass,
Okay.
and I've never played Mafia 1. So I want to play that. And then Mafia 2, I only ever played the demo for on PS3. But I played it over and over and
Yep.
over and over and over and over again.
Yep.
Um so I'll probably play that. I don't know if I'll play Mafia 1. If you think it's worth playing, then I might.
Um I mean, just like to play a game that's like from the installment, it's if I'm remembering, it's definitely the weakest one.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
like,
so
yeah,
maybe I'll start with 2 and go to 1, or I don't know.
yeah. You could if you're gonna skip one, like if you're like vying for time, if you're gonna skip one, just skip the first one. Just do
Yeah.
2 and 3 is real good.
Yeah.
Definitely different. Yeah, it's definitely different, but like I love it. I love like the concept and like giving it the name Mafia and stuff like that because the way they like go about it is just so interesting. And then yeah, now like doing like a basically a inception of the mafia in Italy, like yeah, I can definitely get behind this.
Did we get this was like the first time they showed it, so I guess we're not going to really get any release details for a while, or even like an idea of when it's going to be out.
If I remember correctly, I think more details are going to come during like some sort of showcase in December, maybe.
Okay.
Or like, yeah. So I think we're supposed to get more, but I might be conflating that with other things that were like announced.
Yeah, no, Polygon says expect more in December, the game makers say, and then they said probably at the Game Awards.
Hey. So yeah, I maybe if we're lucky, we get like, if we're lucky, maybe we get some like gameplay. But honestly, we're probably just gonna get more cinematic and like more like details on like the actual characters, and maybe a release window, but I wouldn't really hold my breath.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the last thing, and I mean that was a fun surprise, I would say, for the very end. um Trying to see if there's anything else that I wanted to touch on. Again, just a lot of games that like look good. Like the first Berserker looked neat. Floatopia, kind of just coasting on Animal Crossing's coattails, but like also building off of it a little bit. Looks pretty interesting. Okay. The Batman game, the Batman VR game, actually finally seeing gameplay, because if you remember during the during Summer Game Fest, all we got was a cinematic trailer for a VR game, which was like a bold move. Um, that looks fantastic. That looks so cool.
Really cool.
Looks, yeah, that looks, oh man, so awesome. So that was great to see. And then not a game, but there was a teaser trailer for Secret Level, which is like this new series um that's going to be coming out. And that that was just like one of my favorite moments of the show, because Tim Miller from Blur, the company who was like helping with it,
Not
was
the
like,
band.
not the band,
Okay.
came out and was like talking. I think it was Blur. Came out and was talking about the show, talking about the series, and he was like getting choked up announcing it, which is like just like seeing the passion, right, that these people have for the projects and stuff is always what I'll come back to. When it comes to the overall like show and stuff like that. And the series looks really cool. Like there's a bunch of different games that are being like collaborated with within like the series. Like I think like Sifu is in it, and let me see if there's like some other stuff listed out. Armored Core, Mega Man, Unreal Tournament, Spelunky, just PlayStation in general. So yeah, I'm assuming like every episode is basically going to be like just like kind of like a one shot, one off within like one of these worlds, and I think that is pretty awesome.
Indeed.
So I'm actually really looking forward to that, and that was just like a fun announcement too. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's like a solid show, and again, very similar to Summer Game Fest in a lot of ways, where it's like, if you haven't watched it, I guarantee if you go and watch the show, or go look up like what was announced if you don't feel like sitting through 2.5 hours, but I guarantee you can walk away with a game to be excited about. And I think that is fantastic to see us in at like that point. It's not just so like all games are fitting into 1 to 2, maybe 3 boxes. It's like there's a very wide variety and like a lot of nets being casted, and I think that's for the best. Anything else from you for Gamescom?
No, I just keep seeing this picture of a goat with his tongue mere centimeters from a guy's ear, and it's making me uncomfortable.
Classic Goat Simulator.
Yep.
Um,
That's all I got.
Cool. Well, I know the event goes on for, like I know as we're recording this, there are a couple of like more specific showcases. I think Xbox has like their own specific, like day of announcements, maybe. So anyway, I'm sure next week we're still going to have plenty of stuff to talk about from Gamescom. So look forward to that. As always, thank you so much for listening. If you could do us a favor and leave us a rating or review wherever you do listen to the podcast, that would be greatly appreciated. You can also go over to YouTube, find the Good Game, Bad Game podcast over there, and leave us a comment on this episode, letting us know what game you're most excited for from Opening Night Live. And other than that, if you can share the podcast with a friend, that would be greatly appreciated. And we will talk to you next week.